years I've been coaching, this is the first time I've kind of had an addition to what I did. And Mama Dollar brings out that box the first time, and I'm sitting there thinking, crud, there's something different going on. She put it on, and I loved it. And I was like beating her brow to make sure she brought it to every game and make sure she traveled with us. And so music is now the newest addition. It's the one thing you guys get to add to the things that I do every year that are pretty consistent. Music will now be an addition to it, particularly before game time. You know, what I'll share with y'all, a couple things, if y'all bear with me. This is more about me than it is about the kids or the parents. The last game that we went and played, I received just over 100 text messages from kids that I've coached before that still followed y'all the whole year. Through their parents, on Facebook. I got kids that have graduated college that were texting. What's Pee Wee Red look like? How's it coming down the line? Heard you guys were down and came back and won. Things that were going on. But that last game that we traveled down to play, when we found out that Dallas had lost, I received, I want to say it was 117 text messages, all from former players. Some of which you know from the high school, some from the junior high. A lot of them are in college, asking about y'all. That's that fraternity we talked about at the beginning of the year. That's that group. You have more people than you know. There's about 419 of you. And then that's kind of a big deal. Here's the deal. When we got this team, I thought y'all stunk.
You told us that.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Y'all don't think I lied to you, do you?
Nope.
And then Ms. Kelly reminded me that I've said that before, and I usually gain that opinion when I get you for 1 year. So I didn't see you the year before, right? I get you, and we got to kind of mold you quick. It's easy to identify on any team, parents, those kids that have jumped ahead of the game quicker, those kids that have played longer. You know, those are the ones that in a lot of instances coaches will gravitate to. I don't know if you noticed, but any of you parents, particularly you dads, are out there. We wanted to find the other kids that needed to kind of figure it out and build them up and get them integrated and get them going as best we could. Sometimes they weren't ready. Sometimes they were too ready. It just kind of depended on the timing. But I'll tell you this. You know, your whole season, and my opinion of you, which is completely different than when we started, really came down to that Pee Wee Black game. I think you can sum this entire season up in really one game. You had a perfect season, and there's been several years where the perfect season really didn't mean anything. Maybe the talent wasn't that great. Maybe our talent was just superior. You guys remind me of the 2012 team. You remind me of the 2009 team. You're not a bunch of superior, talented athletes, but that's not what Westlake's about. This is not what Westlake's about. And I'll share with you what I think it's about in a second. But you guys had grit. And when you're down 26-0 midway through the third quarter of a ball game, people check out. If you talk to your parents, they'll tell you they thought this game or that game was done. Every one of them. It'd be foolish to think otherwise. Right? Raise your hand if at one point you thought in that game it was done. That's right. Hang on, let me join you. I was okay when we were down 14-0. I was okay when we went down 21-0. I wasn't okay with the uncharacteristically strange pick that got us down that ended up with another score. And when we were down 26-0, I said, okay, this is a great opportunity to teach the kids a big lesson. And and coaches will tell you, there are times when I really hope you guys end up in a dogfight and you lose. You never win, you never learn anything when you win. The only time you're ever going to learn is when you lose. I have to change that. when you're down 26-0 and you come back and beat them 28-26 with just a little over 12 minutes in a ball game, I think you can learn a heck of a lot more than a loss. Right? We scripted out that last half of the third quarter or the fourth quarter, and we played it to a T and we won that game. What that tells me is this team is special. Really special. You got grit, you got heart, you got the opportunity to work as a team. And Westlake has been known since I started coaching in 2001 as a bunch of kids that were undersized but had hearts twice the size of their body, were smart, competitive, and didn't quit. So if that's the mark of what I consider to be a Westlake player, then all of you are going to be great Westlake players. Y'all follow me?
Yes, sir.
Every year at the end of the year, I go back and I take a look at all my videos. And I've got them all the way back to 2006. They don't go all the way back. It's kind of when they started doing them. And I watch them kind of all the way through. And I live by these videos. You guys are going to grow older. Some of you may forget Pop Warner as a whole, but you're never going to forget the ball games, right? You're going to forget some of the things that we taught you out there, because we weren't teaching you the game of football, in case y'all weren't paying attention, right? We were teaching you how to be young men on the field, right? We were teaching you how to work with each other and to help each other, right? We were teaching you what it was like to be a teammate and how victories came as a result of hard work, right? And you guys worked harder than any other Pop Warner team, I promise you. You're the first state champion Pee Wee Red team since 2006. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But I will tell you, I was looking for a text message. I've got a text from Sam, and I'm going to share something with you parents, and I promise you I'll be done. I'm doing my best to keep things inside here. I am all for the concept, as Coach Naller said, and Coach Courtney said, about playing 16 games in the season. But every time I get a kid, or these days some of the older kids that text me and they say, man, we just won a ball game, including my children. We just smoked them in a game. I have a text that you always get back if you text me. How did you do? How did you play? That's really all that matters. You understand? We proved that victories don't really mean anything, right? How you play means everything. How you treat your team and how you treat the people around you mean everything. And the last thing I'm going to share with y'all before I say something to your parents, if you think that you can be one way on a football field and another way off it, then you need to pick another sport. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Being a part of a football team, being Pee Wee Red worthy, being all in, having guts, the great urge to succeed, to be a part of whatever it takes, to be Pee Wee Red means to be a part of it always. That's at home with your parents. That's at school when you see someone getting picked on. That's always making sure you're not the one picking on somebody. It's always keeping an eye on everybody. Always working hard, never slacking off, on or off the field. You do that, and Westlake's got a real shot. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You guys have it in you, and you can do it. And I promise you this, if none of you guys ever play football again, it will never take you out of the mark of being Pee Wee Red worthy.
Amen.
I love doing what I do so I can watch you guys grow up. But when it comes down to it, fellas, football isn't what defines you. You have defined the game and how you play it. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Parents, thank all of y'all. I know it was really kind of hard, for some of you. I know a lot of you get interesting stories when you sign up to come and play and you find out, oh, crud, we drew this bean. But I will tell you, I've never been more proud of Westlake Papa Warner as a whole in a program than I have been, particularly over the past couple of years. And I really like kind of the way the structure has turned out. It used to be we had several teams, and you picked the teams and you moved on. I'm always the one that's fighting to have as many kids as I can possibly have. And we have these entrenched battles, and where's Matt? No, where's Papa Matt?
Right here.
Papa Matt will tell you, I fight to get these kids, as many of them as I can. I don't know if there's a better way to coach than to have a slice of kids that have never played before, a slice of kids that are fantastic, a slice of kids that are on the verge but haven't moved there, and they build. You build more great players by putting them in a diverse group of talented people than you do any other way. And we're forced at this point, just because of the numbers, to have one group, and I've never been happier or more proud. Because I can tell you this, I would not have had the privilege, probably this year, of coaching Carl. He's a first-time player. Who else was a first-time player? I probably wouldn't have had Farfig moving. I probably wouldn't have had Lovell. Who else?
Kay, but he's not here.
Kay. It's just the sheer nature of the beast when you go a competitive versus a non-competitive league. But every one of these kids really gave it to us. They most of them started, right? I mean, that's awesome. You know, it really is. And I can tell you that I'm always here. I'll have an interesting bond with your kids that'll far exceed you as a parent in some instances. I can tell you this, I will track your kids until the day they walk out of the school, and as long as they'll let me stay in touch with them. I keep up with every one of my kids. I always have and I always will. And they need to know that I walk in and out of coaches' meetings with Coach Dodge and Coach Allman and Coach Long, Coach Rader. I meet with all of us. I stay in touch with them, and they stay in touch with me. Okay? This is a family, and you might as well get used to it, because you're going to be around each other for a long time. Next year, you're walking off, many of you, and going to Westridge, and some going to Hill Country. That's fun. It's fun to compete against your friend. But remember, you still got a W that sits right above all your heads. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And don't make me track you down. All right, don't make me track you down. Ebel, I'm proud of you. Carr, I'm proud of you. All my first year players, I'm proud of you. My first captain,
Second.
huh?
Second.
With me.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Around me, people I didn't know at all, but you're right. And I could go through and talk about everyone. There is a special moment with everyone. I was just talking to your parents about your walking in touchdown. They couldn't tackle you.
Or good, didn't know.
You all have special moments. You all have special things. Parents, I hope that you keep them in the sport. I hope you keep them going. And I will tell you this story as a closing. And I've started to share it. As a matter of fact, I just told Jenna for the first time the other day. I would tell you as parents, let these kids play wherever they are. It doesn't matter. When I got Sam Ellinger, his first year, I used to sit in my car and I'd watch the kids warm up. And I'm talking about him because you all know him as a senior leaving, right? And I was watching Sam throw the ball. He'd never played football before. And I wouldn't draft him. I wouldn't take him on my team because he was a first-year player. And I got a call from a gentleman named Mike Thompson, who's a dear friend of mine, who Jenna works for at Vincent and Elkins. And he said, you got to draft this kid. And I said, I'm not taking a first-year kid. You know, I mean, we were, at the time, LCP was a huge battle. We were drafting a premier competitive team to go against them. The Bengals were a huge mess. And he said, you just got to take the kid. So I took the kid. And I'm watching him throw the ball around. I said, man, he's pretty good. So I start working him at quarterback. And I get an email from Ross and says, let's go ahead and get this started. Sam's probably a running back. And I said, that's great, but I see him as a quarterback right now. I didn't know Ross. I didn't know him at all. I never met him. I never spoken to him at the time. And I must have gotten 3 or 4 emails from him saying, you know, why don't you try to run him back? I said, yeah, that's great, Ross, but I'm gonna stick him and keep him here at quarterback right now. I think he's doing all right. And if Ross were here today, I'd say I told you so. You know, but that was a situation where a parent, at least initially, had contemplated his son in a particular position. And Ross, obviously being who he was, let him play. Didn't interfere, just let it go. I got kids I put in random positions this year. In 3 years, they could be playing something completely different. But let's all make sure as parents we get this in mind. And I've had this conversation with a few. But if you think your son is a quarterback and he played safety, you're never going to get a better lesson on how to be a quarterback than to know what the defensive safeties are doing. If you think your son is a fullback and we played him at middle linebacker, any linebacker is interchangeable with a fullback. If you think he's a running back and played him at DB, same thing. Receiver, DB, same thing. Your kids are getting a phenomenal education on where they're ultimately going to end up, no matter where they play on the field right now. So the next 2 years are going to be miserable for those of y'all that are moving on to junior high. It's just the way that the cookie crumbles. But if they're out there, they're seeing it no matter what position they're playing. No matter what team they're playing on. Let's check this box for you knuckleheads. It doesn't matter whether you're playing on the A team, the B team, or the C team. It doesn't matter. What matters is you have a kid on the other side of you. That's what matters. That's what matters. And the 2012 team that I know the best, because my kids were there, there were more All-American star players for Westlake that played B team and C team all the way until they came on the varsity than any other kids on the field. They got to play more. They got better quicker. So let them play the game. It's a great game. They're never going to have it harder than they did with us. And I'm thankful to Coach Courtney and Coach Dollar. I'm thankful to Coach Nat. You know, Coach. Well, yeah, got Coach Water Bottle. I'm not quite as thankful to Coach Water Bottle because he became very obstreperous this year and was giving candy out all the time. Oh my gosh, ice cream! He really went overboard
He
this
was
year.
about to run us, and Coach Sbrocco just comes in and gives us ice cream.
And truly, particularly for Coach Mellon. I mean, Coach Mellon, like me, obviously doesn't have a kid in the program. He loves coming out here with me. Let me tell you something. Coach Mellon's someone that scared me when it came to your kids, but these kids, they love Coach Mellon. They respond to him. But I can tell you this, and I'm going to pick on.
Go ahead.
I'll pick on Chambers. Chambers. It's good. I do. Great player on the field. No one denied. It is your job for the next 6 years to make sure that everyone on your team gets better. It is not your job to get in a clique and hang out and go do stupid things. You will never be successful on a football field if you, as a team leader, can't grab someone who's new or someone who's scared or someone who's not ready and build them up. You cannot do that. I'm done.